Let's get a word with Emily Schrader, journalist and commentator, Israeli-American journalist, on the wider issue around this region. Emily, good afternoon to you. Nice to have you with us. We heard there from Lily, and of course what she says there, or one aspect of what she says, which is true. Nothing happens in a vacuum in the Middle East, of course. The ramifications, the knock-on effects are absolutely vast. Israel will clearly be watching with more than a little interest in how this one plays out. What is your take on the current situation and the implications for the wider region? Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me. So I do see from contacts that I've had inside Iran, we've had very limited contact the past few days, as I'm sure we're all aware at this point. We're more than 100 hours into that communications blackout. But a few contacts I've been able to interact with for a limited amount of time via Starlink. And they have confirmed pretty much the most harrowing reports and footage that we've seen surface in the past few days. Deaths at least in the thousands. We saw today Iran International estimated 12,000 casualties. Yeah. From everything I've heard and everything I've seen, it does seem like that higher number is far more accurate than the original 600, 500, 600 that we heard quoted. Despite that, there's a lot of determination that I've never seen, even in the 2022 protests over Masa Amini and in previous movements. We haven't seen this. If that number is indeed accurate at 12,000, it will be the largest killing of Iranians in recent history. I'm not surprised. This is par for the course for the Islamic Republic. They're known for murdering their own people. We saw it with the false flag attacks that they've carried out, the PS-752 airliner that they shot down of their own citizens. We saw it also with the Cinema Rex terror attack, which, oops, it turned out that was also the Islamic Republic. This is what they do. They are an oppressive regime that will turn their guns on their own people at any chance that they get, at any challenge that they face. And that is why we see such a unique solidarity today, actually, between the people of Israel and the people of Iran. We've seen that solidarity since October 7th because they've truly understood the threat of these terror proxies. The fact that billions of dollars from the Iranian people is being stolen, is being taken by this regime, is being laundered through places like the UK, among other countries, and then is being used to fund terror proxies like Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, and other groups as well, including in Iraq. So it's a very, very dangerous situation for all the Middle East. The longer that this regime continues to stay in power, the more people will die. Interestingly enough, disproportionately, the highest number of victims from this regime are actually other Muslims, particularly Arab Muslims throughout the region. So everyone should have an interest in this regime falling. And it makes me very, very saddened to see the international community, particularly the West and democratic countries, failing to grasp the desperation of the Iranian people who are begging for assistance, be it logistics assistance, internet connectivity, cyber disruption, or even kinetic assistance, as we see people begging on the streets for assistance from President Trump to take action. But beyond that, I also think we have to have a frank discussion about Europe and their lack of, credibility when it comes to dealing with the Islamic Republic over the past 47 years. Why is it that even today, the UK hasn't proscribed the IRGC as a terrorist organization? Why is it that the EU hasn't? This is shameful. Much more needs to be done. And on top of all of that, we do need to see support from the international community, especially Europe, in expelling these diplomats of the Islamic Republic, in ultimately revoking recognition of the Islamic Republic of Iran because they are an illegitimate, occupying regime that has hijacked the nation of Iran and taken 90 million people hostage to their genocidal ideology that has terrorized the entire Middle East, including me sitting right here in Tel Aviv talking to you, and it has to stop.
In terms of their current position, which is nothing to see here. Everything has stopped, so you can all go home, forget reporting. There was a few protesters, we had to deal with them, but broadly speaking, everyone's happy. And in fact, there were even people on the street with banners of the Ayatollah chanting in favour of the regime. So nothing to worry about going forward, it seems, Emily.
Well, I will say that the one thing the Islamic Republic has always been very good at is propaganda. They've been very active on this front for many, many years, and now is no different. The difference now is only that they are using this propaganda against their own people. And that's why we see that even in interviews and conversations that I've had, I've confirmed that people who have lost loved ones are being called into the forensic centers to identify piles and piles and piles of bodies. And they're being told by the Islamic Republic that they will not receive receive those bodies back for burial unless they sign a document stating that their loved one wasn't in fact a protester, but was a member of the Basij, the police on the ground in Iran, and that they were killed by the protesters. So already they're trying to frame with false confessions, with false forced confessions, they're trying to frame the execution of the arrested protesters as something legitimate by framing the protesters as those who are attacking, these innocent policemen, even when in fact they're the victims. So the level of cynicism going on here and propaganda is appalling. I should also add that they're forcing those families to pay 1 billion tomans, which of course they don't have. It was one of the triggers for these protests. No one has money in order to release those bodies. It's absolutely sick. It's sick, and people don't realize the level of depravity.
100%. And it's interesting to hear your voice and the voice of Lily beforehand as well, with real strength and passion on this. Do you sense, though, just a final point, Emily, that the protests are still going on? Do you think they are still as mobilised as they were? Is there a pause? From what we can ascertain, and it's very hard because, as you say, there's a bit of a blackout going on over there. There's no internet, hard to get information coming out. Is the revolution still underway?
I do believe that it's underway. I don't think that the Islamic Republic can recover, from what they have already done. The protests are still going on from the limited conversations that I've had. However, the people in Shiraz, for example, don't know what's going on with the people of Tehran. So there's not a lot of connection even internally. So we don't know how widespread it is. We do know that there is a massive presence in many, many cities, including some of the smaller cities. As of last night, we're just not getting the information in real time. We're usually finding out about 8 to 10 hours later when people get home, when people are able to send footage with whatever limited internet connectivity they have. But it is still going on. There is a clear call for regime change, for the return actually of the Crown Prince, Reza Pahlavi. This is the united call, at least for a transition. And I'm very hopeful, and all of us in Israel are very hopeful that we'll be able to see that happen. I know just a few minutes ago, President Trump tweeted, again, help is on the way, and told the Iranian protesters not to give up and not to stop fighting. So that's a pretty strong statement coming from the American president.
Absolutely. Emily, thank you for your time. We will, as I said to Lily, we'll speak again, I'm sure, on this. Emily Schrader, journalist and commentator.